All right, I wanted to make a quick video. It's going to be a short one. Really lightning review of the new Bluedew wet noodle. Now, the reason I'm actually making this review is because I just saw a video from someone, review another Flex pen, and I thought to myself, you know what? Everyone's raving about these pens' Flex capabilities, um, but it's there's not a lot of really good Flex pens around, right? What I want to do is I want to show you what this pen can do. So what you're looking at here is this is written with this pen. This is the first pen that I've ever written with. That I felt like, hey, it can actually do Spencerian. Obviously, it's not an oblique nib, but it can do Spencerian. And with my own ink creation, I can get very fine lines. Now, I do have to say, so with this review, keep in mind this thing writes very dry, right? So, and that's the point. I want it to write as dry as possible because I want to have the hairlines. But despite all that, this thing pulls, things that just aren't possible with any other pen. Now, one of the things that everyone always overlooks when they think about anything Flex, it's about the responsiveness of the nib and the contrast between the thin lines and the thicker lines, right? So when you have a pen that has a line as thin as this, right, it almost doesn't register, right? So I have to be it's a very soft nib, right? So I have to be very, very soft as I write. You can see these are very, very thin lines. They show up on camera, right? So these are extra fine lines. That's what I would characterize them as. But with this pen, you can go pretty broad. You can actually go broader than this, but once again, as you can see, the ink starts thinning here. This is a very, very dry ink. And once again, done on purpose. And the reason it's done on purpose is one of the things, and you see people do this, right? And, you want a nib to be responsive. When you lift it off the paper, how fast does it close? No more pressure. How fast does it close? Because that's the thing that allows you to do something that looks, amazing. And if you look at points like here, these are just as thin as the first risers at least. So if you compare these, you can see that they're actually as thin. Now, there's plenty of Flex pens that can get as wide as this. This one gets right up there with the FPRs and everything else. But it's the responsiveness, right? That's this little thing. Because you want to be able to do something like this, right? So an M, it goes wide, and then perhaps even doesn't even start, but then and it closes right back up, back at the end. You want to be able to do things like this. You want to be able to almost have this be a brush, and you can tell as I'm writing with this is fairly brushy. Now, in terms of Flex, so I actually did the measurements myself as well. So it takes about 35 grams to open up the tines to to actually start opening them up, and it opens up fairly quickly and actually tops out at the at some point. So you can see that the ink pops at some point. Once again, dry ink, right? And then it tops out, and then I don't fear that I'm gonna spring this nib as much as many other soft nibs, which is another benefit of this nib, by the way. So if you start writing with this, a lot of very soft nibs, you do something with it and you go, ooh, it's too much. With this one, actually, for some reason, the resistance starts increasing again, and it really, it feels great because it gives some feedback. Obviously, it does mean that if you want to go really wide at the end of there, it's not going to be as soft as it was before. But anything in this range, so what you're seeing here, so it's already now, once again, dry ink, anything in this range, which is more than what you would need typically, that's soft. And when I say soft, I do mean soft. I'm just quickly going to compare this to a Zebra G. So this thing is a Zebra G. It's been in here a while, so please excuse how it looks because it actually looks horrible. But this is actually a previous Bluedew pen. Their pens are actually nice. So the materials are nice. The quality of construction is nice. This is, a Zebra G is a very fine line, finer than anything else. But this is stiffer. This thing is stiffer than what I'm getting with the Bluedew. And then if I compare that with the Fountain Pen Revolution, this is my softest one. And there's some variance between Fountain Pen Revolution pens. But this is my softest one. And if I compare that, let me do the same thing, right? Oh. This is, by the way, this is not a problem with the nib. This is a problem. This is a Jinhao pen. Has a converter. It's not the best for fixed writing. But it's good. I only use this one for headings. So let's try this again, right? I primed it a bit. I have to press harder as well. I feel it's a bit more mushy, if you will, right? And if you can see this, so this rider, and it doesn't get as fine as this one, right? But this rider, riser here, so it's fairly fine, and this one is almost as fine, right? But these are actually thicker, and you don't notice it when you're writing, when you're using big letters like this. You don't notice it that much. But as soon as you start, writing something smaller, oh, come on. And then suddenly that contrast here, you see it real well. The contrast is completely, just disappears entirely, right? So, and that's not just the line width, it's the how well it actually recovers. This is a lot thinner compared than this one, right? So if I do this with a Bluedew nib, see this L, it's beautiful. How, I'm not writing my best right now, right? So this Bluedew pen is the quality of the pen is great. This is what it looks like, right? This is what the nib looks like. You see there's some cuts in there. It's well made. It's actually fairly soft. It writes softer than the FPR. So write soft, I mean smoother, right? So this is a fairly smooth one. And once again, with a very dry ink, as you can see, right? So this is dry. This is bone dry. Construction is nice. This is a piston filler, a proper piston filler. Works well. The quality is nice. Cleans well too. But I can't complain. And also, these pens actually come in something like this. Now, you may not think much of this, but the quality of this thing is actually fairly good. And it's very convenient. When I'm traveling, going somewhere, I use these. This is the only one that I actually use. And anything else I don't use. This one I do, and actually I use it for other pens as well. If especially if you're flying, I don't like using a fountain pen. But let me show you a couple of samples of writing. What I've done with this pen, right? This is nothing else. Okay, so this here is a sample after a recent fill. You can actually tell that this is a slightly different consistency for the ink. Reason is this was just, I filled it up just then. I try to tune the ink as much as I can because I want some flow, obviously. But as I said, I kind of want it to write dry as well. And as you can see, this is a sample of what you can do with this. These are very, nice, thick accents. And it goes right back to a very thin line as well. You can actually see here as well, these wavy lines that I make here. It kind of shows responsiveness. It kind of feels like you're writing with a brush, right? On the other side, we don't have anything here, but we have, for example, let me see. Well, this is, this is something else. Just a piece of writing here. This is basically just gibberish, right? This is a stream of thought. That's what I do when I practice my writing. Yeah, these are the things that that this pen can do, and it can do it well. This squiggly line here, for example, if you do this with the fountain pen revolution nib, you have to press harder, because the fact that you have to press harder, these little elements here. Let me just get my nib. So here, these bends, they start becoming more angled, but they need to be fluent. And in Spencerian, this is the critical thing. It needs to be soft enough so that your progression from a thin line to an accent is smooth, and it goes well. By the way, I'm not a master penman at all. This is me just still practicing. But this pen can do it. I can't do this with a fountain pen revolution nib, which before this was actually my softest one. And this could do, once again, as you can see here, more ornamental style. So you can see what this pen can do. You can see the fluency of everything. And on the other side, we have some round hand here as well. It does it really well. It just keeps up, and that's the point. Right? This thing keeps up, and it does what it's supposed to do. And it is very reminiscent of what vintage flex is. Now, there isn't one vintage flex, right? There isn't just, that doesn't exist. The vintage flex is usually, I would say, perhaps a bit softer. But I will say this: if you have a more if your ink isn't as dry as this one, it also it becomes a bit soft because the nib, the actual tines glide a bit over the paper, so they open up a bit easier. But this is about as soft as it gets, and you don't really lose any responsiveness. And I can say this: so Bluedew here has created this innovation that is. To me, this is very significant, right? I have been looking for something that can do this, open up as wide as this can, still stay responsive, isn't too expensive. If you need to buy a new nib, let's say we drop it, it's not going to break the bank. These pens are between $100 and $150 US dollars. And it's more expensive than obviously a Jinhao, but what you get in return is frankly quite impressive. So I really want to get this one out. I think it's important that people realize that it's possible to do things like this with a fountain pen comfortably without having to resort to anything strange, right? So yeah, I want Bluedew to keep it up. He does well. This is a good innovation, and I hope people adopt this, and that there's more demand for something like this, because that's how we get even more innovation. Once again, a lot of people, all they care about is how wide the tines open, and while that's nice, if you don't have hairline-like quality to your writing, it just doesn't add that much. So yeah, anyway, I hope this was helpful. Once again, the quality of this pen is great, and actually the quality of all their pens. Just so you know, I have a couple here, right? So this is not it, right? So these are all Bluedew pens. I like their quality. They're not too expensive. They write well. I had the untipped one as well. This one now holds that other one, the Zebra G. But the untipped one, it's untipped, so it'll wear down. And once it's completely worn, well, the tines don't touch anymore, and you're basically writing with a cursive italic. A flexible cursive italic, which is interesting, but it was also very soft, but it was not as soft as this one. This one is far softer. So yeah, I hope Bluedew keeps it up. This is good. We need this, and we need people to make writing instruments for people who want to write. Right? It's not about showing off with flex. It's about it needs to be an instrument. You need to be able to work with it. I'm gonna be honest. The fact that this one doesn't feel like, when you press it a bit harder than you perhaps should, it lets you know. I don't feel like I'm actually breaking it. That to me also is a big plus. Now, a lot of people would probably look at this and say, "Oh, is it really? I mean, does it matter?" But you would be surprised at how fast people spring their nibs when they're flexing. It happens so often. And you can flex them back. That's fine. With this one, I can feel it. You have that very soft nip at the start, and it opens up, and then suddenly there's more resistance, and you can feel. Oh, I should probably stop right now. Beautiful. I love it. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I think if you want to buy a Flex pen right now, this is probably the one to get. Um, and once again, I have been looking for Flex solutions. I have the Noodlers Ahab. I have the other one. I can't think of the name right now. And I have the FPR, the normal Flex, the Ultra Flex. I have a couple of Ultra Flexes. Nothing comes close. Nothing has this experience. Once again, the Ultra Flex is very accessible. It's not expensive either. But I will say you can actually buy this pen, this nib. I think it's probably around the same price as the FPR nib, but then I would get this one. Also, this is the extra fine one. I would say it's more like a Japanese extra fine. This is not a Western extra fine, and it's just well made. And I hope this helps people. So if you're looking to do some serious writing, actually train, and try and get good at it. If that's what you're trying to do, then this is something that you should get. You can do a lot with this and do it properly without a problem. So anyway, yeah, I wish everyone a very good rest of your day. And if you do pick one of these up, let me know what you think. Cheers. Bye.